Hey, we're live. This is Damien, and welcome to the Killer Be Killed podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us live, and of course, all of you who are checking in later, watching the recording. Please, always like everybody else on this platform, just like and subscribe, and we'll let you know what's coming on. Also, please feel free to comment and share and all the other fun stuff that goes on with this. If you notice today, I am without my good buddy George. George is, his mom has been battling cancer. They had an emergency. She was in the hospital, so he took off. So thoughts and prayers there. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Tom checking in. Again, thank you, everybody, for joining us as we get into what we got going on. Hope everybody's well. One thing I want to talk about is something that I learned. I want to share a new term I learned today called hustle porn. That is hustle porn. And that is people posting motivational memes and videos and sayings on social media to get you to, you know, get off your ass and do something. I think it's funny. There's guys that are legit and guys that, people who haven't done anything in their lives telling you how to live a better life. So again, that was a new term. Just found out. Pretty cool. So Tom checking in, Emil checking in, and Big Mike checking in. Again, glad to see all you guys. It's been a fun week. Things have been going well for us here at the Self-Defense Company. On a personal note, my son just got his driver's license. So I'm done polluting the roads with drivers. I put 2 on the road. You're welcome. 2 more people just to get in your way. And Zach checking in. Awesome. Awesome to see you, brother. So one of the things I want to talk about right away, which I thought was pretty crazy, and this is awesome. If everyone has been keeping track of UFC fighter Kevin Holland, this dude, he's literally fighting crime. It's awesome. I can't even tell you that it's like they're on 2 separate occasions where this guy has actually put himself in harm's way at the sake of complete strangers. So I want to get this guy's name out there because this is freaking awesome. And I want to share this story with you. This comes out of Lead Patriot. And just say, just get this. Okay, so here we go. Make sure. Okay, good. We're up. We're running. I'm running the show by myself today, guys. So bear with me. All good. Okay, so UFC fighter Kevin Holland has saved the day for a second time. Holland, with the help of 2 other men, tackled and disarmed a shooter at a sushi bar in Houston, Texas. The gunman opened fire on a Houston restaurant last night. 40 to 50 people were inside, per reports. Hawani said on Twitter, 3 men immediately took the gunman down, subdued him, and took his gun away. No one was injured. One of those heroes, Kevin Holland, and I'm told he did it again. According to ABC 3 at 13 in Houston, the suspect pulled a gun at Raw Sushi in Houston and fired 1 shot into the air. 3 customers rushed the suspect, apprehending the man before police arrived on the scene. Eyewitnesses were eating, and the next thing you know, a gunshot popped off, so everything paused, and everybody started running to get under a table. Patrick Robinson, one of the people who stopped the shooter, said, according to ABC 13, "We got him down, apprehended him, got the gun away from him, and bagged and the bag he had." Robinson continued. In October, Helwini reported that Holland was involved in another act of heroism, stopping a man from stealing a vehicle in his neighborhood. So she wrote on Twitter that his last reported save earlier this AM, like minutes ago, Kevin Holland apprehended a guy who was in the process of stealing someone's car in his neighborhood, per his coach, chased him down and stayed with him until the cops showed up. And there's the image there. I'm like, look, man, I gotta tell you, someone doing this, and let me just look up Kevin Holland because I want to get his pick up there. All right. Yeah, man. I'm telling you, like, you do this, you're this guy. I mean, completely fantastic. Hey, Dan, Semper Fi to you, brother. So, you know, people, you know, keep this guy's name, in your mouth, so to speak. Like, let it get out there. Again, I cannot. I want to get this page to come up. All right, here we go. We sharing it. All right, hold on one second. I want you guys to see who he is. Um, yeah, man, this is some real shit and some scary shit. I mean, look, it's not like he's wearing armor or anything. I'm like, he is, unarmed guy, but he's willing to make a stand. And we need to support and encourage this behavior as much as possible. Uh, you know, it's a hell of a thing. It's a hell of a thing to step in and to just throw yourself in the middle of something. I mean, not only in any day and age, but especially this day and age. Like, heck, he's not armed. He's not wearing body armor. He's just a freaking badass. I know there are people out there that would say like this is stupid or um, irresponsible. But the fact of the matter is, that's what weak people say. That's bullshit. I mean, truth be told, that once you fight back and break the predator prey relationship, that it short circuits the predator and he breaks off and goes and does something else. Nobody does something thinking that they're going to get their ass kicked, right? They go into this and they're like, okay, I'm going to be successful. I might meet some resistance, but this is what's going to happen. All they're thinking about is what they have to do. They're thinking about succeeding, not failing. It's a task, just like anything else. So when a bad guy comes in to a sushi restaurant and he puts one round in the air, and then before he even gets to his speech, that I'm sure he's prepared, about 100 times, three guys just jump on him. And I'm sure the guys who were with were probably guys who also trained, who are, because here's the thing, like people tend to stay together. So, probably, there's a reason why three of his buddies, everyone in his group jumped in and not just him. So, you've got to, years ago, we did there was a study done when the training system was being accepted in the Northwestern University of colleges as the curriculum to teach. And one of the studies done on women's assaults was that women who resisted either by verbal or physical resistance stopped the assault over 90% of the time. Think about that. Sexual assault, over 90% of the women who resisted in any form stopped the assault. Now, if I gave you, $100 or heck, if I gave you $1 million, said, hey, we're going to go to Vegas and there's a 90% chance that you're going to win, how much of it would you spend? Chances are you probably spend all of it. I mean, keep a couple bucks, get something to eat. But for the most part, that's a hell of a bet. So when people take this position that, you're lucky you don't get killed, it's a coward's position. And that's because they're mirroring, their fears onto someone else, onto the situation. So, you've got to stand by your convictions and understand that the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor. Overwhelmingly in your favor. So big ups to Kevin. That was baller. I really didn't know him before, but now, dude, bro, I'm a fan. I am, I'll be watching you fight, my friend. Again, awesome. So, got this incident happened here in New Jersey that involves law enforcement. And again, for those of you that don't know me, train a lot of law enforcement officers. I'm a first responder. I'm a firefighter. It's a hard job. anytime you're exposed to the public, I mean, heck, and any traffic stop can run the risk of you exposing yourself and being killed. So, once as a citizen, once you take that into consideration, that like you're a good person, you're getting pulled over and you're pissed off that you're speeding and all the other crap, that the guy who's approaching your car, guy or girl approaching your car, thinks that you might try to kill them, and you have to operate on that premise that they think you want to kill them. So it's what I'm going through with my son and his uncle Heath, who's his lieutenant. Here's how you behave in a traffic stop. You put your hands at 10 and 2. You wait. Officer gives you instructions. You just keep your mouth shut and do what he tells you to do. And on the same token, if you're getting asked these questions, I go, you don't necessarily have to answer. That's true too, because I'm all about your civil rights. So, 10 and 2, do you know why I stopped you? No, officer, I don't. And then have him say, he's like, oh, okay. And then he asks you for your paperwork. You give him your paperwork when you're operating a vehicle. Okay, fine. That's it. I mean, if there's probable cause and there's reason for you to, take orders from a police officer, fine. That's it. Anyway, tough job. We know it's a tough job. But now there's this bizarre story in New Jersey. And on the other hand, I can't explain this. And this is why people, have a massive distrust of police, especially in some communities. And I don't know, the details. So it's the headline, of course, is, police shot a man getting an iced tea. So many things are wrong with this. Okay. It's identified as an opinion. And the headline is like, confusing. So, we're into it. There's note the story has been corrected to reflect that the officers involved in the case and the use of force or the death of a person while in law enforcement custody will not have immediate access to their body cameras before writing the initial report. Okay. So this article has been updated. All right. So many things went wrong the night Trenton Police Department's Jump Out Boys stormed the car of a 29-year-old black man retrieving an iced tea. Okay. So this is a street crimes unit called the Jump Out Boys. Look, I get into naming units. It's about morale. It's about, getting, there's prestige there, and it helps get you motivated to do the job. When you're on like a fast crew or anything like that, it's cool, dude. It's like, you earn your spot to get this, and I get it. It's like a little special force. It's like a special forces unit. Okay, first, 4 members of the street crime units were dressed in all black and fully masked, not like COVID mask, like ski mask. Okay, which happens to be the typical gear of a mugger, right? They pulled alongside a parked car on Center Street in South Trenton, where Jawan Henderson was in the driver's seat with the engine turned off. The officers demanded his ID, which by law, New Jerseyans are not required to provide on demand, which is true. Obviously, if you're in the operation of a unless you're in the operation of a motor vehicle, if you're just parked, you don't have to hand your ID to anybody at all. It's not a police state unless you get arrested. If you get arrested, then they'll process you, ask your ID, go through all your information and crap like that. But if you're not getting arrested, you don't need to answer questions and you don't need to provide your papers. Okay. One of the officers broke the car window, causing Henderson to try to escape the masked man dressed in black. His attorney said after he turned on the ignition, at least one of the officers shot him 4 times in the neck and back. Henderson is now paralyzed from the chest down. No weapons are found in the vehicle. When his mother, Gia Henderson, called the police department, officers would tell her wouldn't tell her where he was or what happened to him. After several attempts to locate her son, police told her to stop calling. Gia Henderson said it took her 5 days to find her son, and only with the help of an attorney. A month after the incident, body cam footage hasn't been released. Camera footage should be provided within 20 days, according to the state's attorney general, yet it's been more than 30 days since the incident. In addition, a recent law signed by Governor Phil Murphy allows police to review the video before writing a police report so the story matches any written statement. However, in this situation, because of the officer use of force, the police would not have access to the footage. Again, now, as hinky as that sound, that does make sense, because how you remember things is faulty. How you remember things is faulty. And, so going back to the videotape and reminding yourself what happened and then why you did is actually not a bad thing. And as Mike puts, masks while on patrol should be forbidden. It's dangerous for both sides. 100%. If you're not identifying yourself as a police officer, again, we're just going on what we know from this report. It doesn't matter that the guy was unarmed. It matters what he does, right? If you identify yourself as a police officer, when you're making an arrest or about to use force, which you should have, apparently they didn't. Again, the mask thing, if you're an undercover unit, I understand that, right? I mean, again, it's like if you're taking a guy down, and an undercover unit, I don't think should typically do that. It would be SWAT team, local uniform guys. They would be coming in. You would know they would be. They were cops because they'd be wearing the insignia, and it wouldn't be hidden. But you're a guy in Trenton in that area, and you see a group of guys jumping out of a car with masks and guns. I'm like, you think you're gonna die? They smash the window. Again, don't know why. Don't know what this guy was wanted for. Don't know what the size up was. That's kind of left out of the story. This guy could have been, wanted for, raping children, right? Could have been a terrorist. Could have, been an active shooter, right? This could have fit the description of this person. Again, doesn't excuse police behavior. It's just putting a potential reason behind it. So, again, you've got the optics on this, holy crap. So you've got guys coming out looking like criminals, looking like basically a hit squad. And then when this guy freaks out and tries to escape, which is the right thing to do, he gets shot for it. There's no reason why they should have used deadly force if he's trying to escape. And in fact, in New Jersey, it's flat out illegal. You can't even chase chase a subject in your vehicle, even if he's speeding in a stolen vehicle, leaving the scene. You cannot chase him. So, using deadly force when the police officer's life was in danger, unless perhaps, again, we don't know, he could have been hanging out the window, right? He could have been caught. His life could have been in danger in that way. But again, without any cam footage, we really don't know. So let's listen to what his attorney has to say.
In support of the Henderson family. Not surprised yet, disappointed again to be having a conversation about another black man, unarmed, being shot by the police. So we're here today looking for justice for the Henderson family, for Jawan in particular. And appealing to our elected officials to give us some meaningful legislation when it comes to police reform. Tired of all the smoke and mirrors. Like I said, whether it comes from the Democratic side of the aisle, which it should, or the Republican side of the aisle, we need to make sure that we're banning chokeholds, no-knock warrants, implementing civilian complaint review boards with subpoena power, and getting rid of qualified immunity. We need it now.
Yeah, so to continue, to confirm, there is no search warrant. No 911 call. So what I mentioned before is off the table. Obviously, no names of the officers who shot the young man were given. No explanation from the director of police, Steve Wilson. Nothing. Yes, it's happened again. Another citizen shot. I mean, we won't go into the color thing because there are more. Listen, it's on both sides. Either way, despite the calls from public reform promises, okay, this is, look, I mean, we need to enforce the laws that we have in place, and we need to hold all of our public servants to a higher standard for sure. Again, like I said, it's a tough job. I mean, there should be, pay commensurate with the difficulty of the job. I'm not, again, about defunding police. I'm about training police and actually paying them more. Like, you want these guys to be able to do this. I mean, the other thing you should do is have routine psychological evaluations and therapy. I mean, they do a psych eval when you go through any of our academies, and that's like when you're a kid in the first day to make sure you're not nuts joining up. But the PTSD that these guys go through on a regular basis, and like when you're seeing violent crimes and dealing with violence on a regular, every day or every week, and putting yourself in potentially violent situations every day, I'm like, it takes a toll, and that affects your behavior. And then who knows what these guys are feeling, what's going through their personal lives. Are they going through divorce? Are they going through bankruptcy? Are they, everyone's got regular lives that we do too, right? So, you have to look at them and constantly help them and evaluate their state of mind. Again, this is unexcusable. Whether, again, there was no prior reason to be arresting this guy. I mean, other than him sitting in his car. Again, the fact that he's unarmed, you don't know someone's armed or they're unarmed until, situation's over, right? You, you'll go in and you'll see, it's like, we talk about this with our training. Assume everybody's armed, has friends, and has intent. So you face someone in the street, and let's say it's dark. Let's say, obviously, let's tell people, look at people's hands. You can see what they're carrying. But again, low light conditions, you don't know if that punch is a stab, if he's got a firearm, whatever. So, you have to assume that he's using a lethal weapon. You've got to assume on some part when you ask a guy to give you his license and registration that he's not reaching for a firearm, because you don't know who this guy is you're pulling over. This could be anybody, right? I mean, he could have just pulled off a bank robbery, could have just killed his girlfriend. He could have, who knows, right? Then again, for the most part, he's just somebody trying to get home, right? So, these are things that, you have to consider as citizens when you're dealing with law enforcement. But this, it feels like a hit squad, and the fact that they're silent at this day and age, I mean, yeah, granted, this is still, dirty Jersey, the Soprano state, and we cover shit up the best with the best of them. But yeah, this, again, this is beyond a bad look. So hopefully we'll hear more as this develops. But every day, there's police interact with the public every day, millions and millions of times. Nothing happens, but this feels like something that was just, you get either, it's either bad actors or bad training or both. That's when shit goes sideways. So, yeah. Okay. So that was it for the serious crap. Now, uncovered these little gems on hold on, let me just get share. Again, the wrist grab defense, people. Yeah, I don't know why people spend so much time on, so anyway. So Mike wrote, one wonders if they disbanded that group. I think they definitely did. That's like, it feels like Rampart from the, from the 80s. So, yeah, it feels like, this is something that was because what happens is, like, you usually get, a good idea or that goes bad, right? So you come up with these groups and you're like, all right, we got a special task force. Your job is go down there and, arrest gangbangers in action. And this is, here, go get them. And then now it's this group takes it upon themselves to basically improvise. And that's like, when you get like, Air America, when you get like, a group of, small group of CIA guy, CIA agents, that are just flying in cocaine to California because, they're like, I don't care, the Contras are going to give you this, you're going to give them money, they're going to give you coke, and we're going to supply them, with arms, and they're going to give us coke, and then we're going to sell the coke and go get money and go buy more freaking, and give more money for more guns. So, I don't care how you get it done, just get it done, right? They're just like, I don't know how many, I don't care how you make the arrests, just get the arrests done. And that's when they look at, when agencies look at quotas and they look at, crime percentage and the statistics, you got to get your numbers up. That's a reality. And there's the problem. It's like, how do you know a guy's, not doing his job if he's not writing tickets? Well, how many people are, the other question is, it's like, what does crime look like in that area? How many people are, we have, for us around here, it's basically, we've got home burglaries. We just had a carjacking next town over, which is interesting and exciting. But that is extremely rare. I can't remember the last time there was a carjacking with a weapon. There were two subjects that, well, now we're calling them actors. Sorry, two actors. Yeah. So, Mike, you're awesome, bro. The TV series The Shield. If you haven't seen it, it's crazy. Dude, that first episode, when they kill the guy. Oh shit! Spoiler alert! It's like 15 years old. But when they there's an undercover guy in the cop. I mean, the first episode, I was like, holy crap, where do they go from here? Because it was like it could have been a standalone movie itself. So anyway, yeah, and that's what happens. You get the Shield. That's it. You get these guys that go out and they make arrests, real or imagined, and they just get results. And they don't care. They care about the numbers. It turns into this, you understand, like justice, you're not seeking the truth, right? You're seeking a win. Defense is trying to win. Prosecutors trying to win. Prosecutors wants his conviction rate up, right? So they take cases that first they take cases they think they can win with, people that they like the way they look. This guy looks good for this. Okay, great. And then they build a case around it based on proving their case, not based on finding the truth. And that's a fundamental problem with our justice system. I said, is it better than most? Oh, yeah. But again, it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Right. That was a great line. Mike writes, good cop, bad cop, left for the day. I'm something else. That was on FX. And the other series, which I absolutely love, is Justified. I mean, Raylan Givens, dude, he's the shit. So two things you want to jump on the Shield and jump on Justified. Justified is more like a white hat, black hat guy. I like that series better because the good guy's a good guy. And he's really there's some great lines in there. One of them, he was, throwing, he's kicking one of the heels out of town, and he takes a bullet out of his magazine and throws it at him. And he goes, the next one's coming at you a lot faster, which was fucking cool as shit. And then his explanation for it later made it even better. So, yeah. And Tom's a Third Watch fan. I haven't watched too much Third Watch, man, but I'll start checking that out as well. All right, so we're gonna go on to I want to share with you this risk grab defense. And yeah, guys, again, like with this stuff, I don't understand, why, how the wrist grab. I mean, no, I do, and I will tell you how. It all starts from Japanese jiu-jitsu, because a lot of the wrist locks and holds, like if you were grappling over someone who's trying to draw a sword and you were in armor, it would start to make a lot of sense, right? So I see the weapon, I grab the weapon hand, I try to clear it and move him and throw him in such a way. Can't really strike him too much because I'd be hitting I'd be hitting metal or chainmail. So, we're primarily going to grapple, and we're going to move. We can move pretty fast, but not as fast as if we were, empty hand or without wearing armor, obviously. So that's a lot of carryover. So when judo, which is technically the first formalized martial art, like modern martial art, when I say that, they're the first ones to come up with a belt system, the uniform. They took it from Japanese jujitsu, and then started, developing that as a way of really kind of bridging the old Japan with the new Japan, and making it a martial, like fostering Bushido and the good things that came out of the Japanese culture. Because if you remember, like late 1800s, we're moving from Edo to the modern day Japan, where everyone saw Last Samurai, right? Okay, so it was around that time, and then so they were kind of, when you were doing jujitsu back then, it's sort of become like lowbrow kind of in street fighting type of stuff. So they don't want to completely abandon the culture. So what happened was, Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo, was a physical education teacher, and he started the he wanted to. They thought calisthenics were boring, so what he did is he developed a form of jujitsu that was based on the spirit of the samurai. So, and so he developed this whole program. The belt ranking system actually comes from the dan ranking system of the Japanese game Go. So he started this, and then what happened is, as it evolved, they felt they needed self-defense. So they took a lot of the self-defense directly from that old jujitsu, and a lot of it started with the wrist grab. So I think that's why the wrist grab kind of stuck around, as you'll see in module 4, the training system, and then 60-minute self-defense, and fast course, come to some of the other programs like the single. Doesn't matter, single wrist grab, single arm grab, it's a single hand grab. It doesn't matter. Like the actual grab of the wrist is just the beginning of the attack. It's not the actual attack. But these guys go into this whole freaking thing with self-defense, with the wrist grab. So yeah, and it still shocks me that people spend so much time on this particular technique. So I'll shut up and just let it play.
So for this next piece, we're going to be going over wrist grabs. And when people are grabbing your wrist, what does that look like? What does that entail? And how do we deal with that kind of situation?
All right. Is this gonna fight an orangutan? I okay. Or does he own this? I mean, I don't know why I'm looking at this. Oh, I get it. She's doing the wrist grab defense against an orangutan who, by the way, would rip her arm off in a second if she wanted to. You understand how strong these things are? They're engineered in a way, like, I know that thing looks like an old man, but that thing would completely destroy the most jacked NFL, WWE, MMA fighter you ever saw. That thing is a freak of strength. So again, I don't know what the purpose of this is, but let her rip.
Regardless of what.
My guess is that she couldn't get out of the right. Like monkey style kung fu, right? My guess is that she couldn't get out of the wrist grab. Maybe convince that thing to let her go. Okay, so let's listen to what this guy has to say.
What martial arts system? They all kind of have 3 basic moves, So as he's grabbing here, I can move to the outside over here. I can move to the inside, or I can move straight up and down. This.
Okay, these are simple wrist releases. That just these are not self defenses, people. They're just breaking a grip, and you just do it against a thumb. It's no big deal. We'll use this more in like wrestling or judo or Brazil or jujitsu, where if someone's trying to control a grip, and we're hand fighting, where we would break the grip to gain control of the grip. So if you're understanding, yeah, Mike, she's dead. Yes, getting back to the monkey foo. Yeah, she didn't make it. So like when you understand, like when you're wrestling or jujitsu or judo, um, any type of whoever controls the grip wins, right? So you'll see these things practiced, and we'll practice them just to hand fight to get the grip. Because if I can get my grip, then I can get to the next step where I can break your balance, fit it, and follow through. So without a grip, I won't be able to balance you. I won't be able to create an attack. So that's where these things come in. They are not self-defense. This is not a self-defense application yet. Many, many, many people make the mistake of making this a self-defense technique. And I'll go
this way or this way. So everything else is kind of based around those from wrist escapes. One of the key principles to wrist escapes is you don't want to fight. This is the position where he's.
So we understand that guy could sit there and grab your wrist and squeeze as hard as he wants all day, and nothing's going to happen to you other than his hand is touching your wrist, right? I mean, we understand that. That's not an attack. That's the beginning of the attack. So I don't give a shit about that. What I care about is what follows up. What's in his other hand? What's his other hand doing? What are those two other friends of his sitting in the background doing? Right? That's what I care about. That, I don't even consider it an attack. It's not even an attack. It's just a means of him pinning you so he can follow up and do something nasty, real nasty, if he even takes this approach. So again, this is a wrist grab is not an attack in this situation.
Expecting a fight. I don't want the fight to go here. I want to move around this point, right? So a couple of things. I'm always going to escape through the weak part where the thumb is exposed there. That applies to any one technique. But I move around this point. This point stays in place.
Again, this is like old. Yeah, right, Mike. Finger jab right from the start. Yeah, hit him. Just hit him. And guess what? He can hold on to your wrist all you want. When he's got fingers and fingers coming into his eyes, you're not going to worry about the wrist lock too long, right? And this is like Danzanru, like wrist break. This is like Aiki Jiu-Jitsu stuff. Again, none of it has any self-defense application whatsoever. Yet you will spend, in order to memorize these, you will probably spend hours, if not weeks, practicing this stuff. So, to get that muscle motor down where you're like, oh, he's grabbing my wrist. I know. And again, you won't even get to this point, because if it's a real attack and he's not trying to drag you across the carpet, he's going to be punching you and kicking you or stabbing you or hitting you over the head with a brick. So, again, all this is unnecessary. Unnecessary.
My body moves around it, right? So that's one key principle that we want to look at. So just this way, and then straight up and straight down. Straight over. Yeah. Obviously, there's lots of variations.
Obviously, there are lots of right. Mike puts a great point. Turning him now so your back is towards him is idiocy. Right. And again, these are like drills that we would use again for like grip fighting for sport. And they're a kind of an exercise in Aiki Jiu-Jitsu of understanding like body motion and kinetics. They're not self-defense. They were never meant to be self-defense, right? So one of the things, I'll start talking about, this is called a koba, right? Like your hand yoke spot, koba. right? And we would use this to try to like practice, moving somebody's body weight through that point. And it's again, it's a drill on physiology. It's grip fighting for sport at best. This is not a self-defense. You should not be wasting your time with this at all. Like Mike said, a little finger jab right from the start. As soon as somebody comes in your face, all that shit ends. And if you're your drunk brother-in-law, if you're just telling him to get away and you're just like stop and you punch stop him in the chest, if he's a lot stronger and bigger than you, that'll usually stop it. If your drunk brother-in-law consists, well, guess what? You need to fucking put him out. So here we are again.
Where it could be two hands on one. It could be grabbing this way.
The dreaded 2-on-1 and the opposite wrist grab again. None of these are considered attacks. None of them. Unless you're 2-on-1 wrist grab where you have your hand on your weapon and he's grabbing your weapon. And then guess what you do again, kids? You hit him. You hit him as hard as you possibly can. Repeatedly. And again, if you can't generate enough power to hit somebody, none of these fancy things are going to work for you. Striking someone is the least amount of skill and effort and body contact you require. Again, if you can't generate enough power to hit somebody where you can elicit a response, it doesn't necessarily knock them out, but you can get their eyes to water, you get them to blink, you get them to move back, then there's no self-defense in the world that's going to help you. Again, you should be armed to the teeth. You should anyway, but you should have weapons and such and things like that. If you got pepper spray in your hand, somebody grabs you, just juice them and you go on your way, right? So, again, we're not considering all these. We're just taking, we're looking at face value at what this, nonsense is. So.
And pulling along kind of a thing. If I have to deal with this, isn't it better if I was able to do something before he actually grabbed me? Don't you agree? Right? Because this is going to be a little bit of a struggle. Even though you did it really well, I would prefer if you had more situational awareness. So as he goes to
okay, great point. I agree 100% with what he just said. There could have done something before this. We could have done 100%. Yes. Good job. That is correct. I agree. And this is also kind of the problem that you run into with a lot of this stuff. It's like, not everybody's always completely wrong. They get parts right, but then they get other shit wrong. And it's not consistent with what they're doing. And they're not reflecting what one part against the other. So, again, totally right here. Totally agree with this guy.
Grab me. Notice what happens. He comes into my space, right? You see some targets that become apparent?
I do. Yes.
He comes into my space where I'm then free to go for eye grab.
Yes.
To attack the throat. But what I wanted you to do here is something a little bit more tricky.
Oh no!
As he goes to grab, just take it out of the way and see how he kind of gets like, what just happened?
All right. Now you're going back to being a moron. If someone's coming in your space to grab you, just hit them. Why are you taking your hand out of the way? Just go back to what you're going to do before and just hit them. This is just, again, martial arts parlor trick. It gets goofy. And this is why, this is why it drives me freaking nuts, man. So, yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, what's going on there? So, yeah, this is just a gimmick.
There's a little bit of a stall here. That gives me the moment that I need to do an attack. I'm going to step back and I'm going to hit.
Good. Pip slap. Good. So, here's the thing. That was good. That was great. I love that shit. Good job. But you don't need to pull a hand back. You could just, your body, if you just turn and crack somebody, with your body's motion and turning, you're going to pull your hand out of the way anyway. So that's good. All right. I like that. Good shit.
Hit across there. I'm just hitting with a cupped hand. over the ear.
Great.
This shoots compressed air right into the ear, breaking the eardrum.
I mean, there's your shot at that.
Use your feet too. Use your body to move,
Yes, he's right too. Totally right.
not just your arm.
Oh,
There you go. Nice.
perfect.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Now, the one thing they should be using, again, they're demoing, so I'm not going to beat them up for it. They should be using a pad and just concentrating on stepping back and just whipping your butt after a freaking pimp slap. Totally, this is totally good shit. Somebody comes into you, you can do this for sure, 100%. But again, when you're training it, this is why, like with the partners, it's okay to get it where you kind of understand, the movement, spatial awareness, but to really train it, you got to be hitting a dummy, you got to be hitting a pad, something 100%. You hit something 100%, then all that body language and where your body winds up, that takes care of itself because you'll just concentrate on getting through the target, driving through the target, and getting it done. So, yeah, this is
Just
actually
like always, we want to follow through, right?
Yes.
So as we do this, we're going to be here. Boom. Then we're going to look, where's the next target? Boom. We're going to finish so that we can be sure that as we're escaping, we're not following.
Okay. Again, the knee thing, whatever, again, following up and escaping, good, just, I get, all of a sudden I have a thing with the, hitting the knee too. I mean, yeah, if you're going to, if he's going to stay there, great. I mean, after that, especially if I'm teaching, women, if you can get him to stop, and if he goes down, or even if he just stops, you can still probably escape. Again, it's up to you whether you feel the threat or not, right? So that's a boots on the ground. I mean, following up with another attack is great. It's fine. So I'm not gonna, beat him up too much for that. I mean, that's fine. But yeah, so that was good.
So then at least get 2 to 3 attacks.
Again, now they should probably be working with the pad. I see them on the bench or back there. They should be using those because then they'll wind up, really getting power into it, and that'll fix all their footwork.
Nice. That was perfect.
Good.
All right. Just because I like you guys, I'm going to teach you one of my favorite.
And even that kick, you got to stop on something and you got to really hit something. So that was like, again, more of a push and then him going. But I mean, to really build confidence in your stuff, you've got to hit 100%, full power, full go.
Techniques, right? We both hate this because it hurts like crazy, right? So what we're going to do here, this right along the seam of the pant, right there, I'm just going to knee, and I'm going to just kind of walk through, boom, as I go in. Imagine if this happens, he goes to grab, I'm here, boom, this is exposed, I just go, bam.
Okay, not a big fan of that. Not that saying you could knee someone in the thigh. We want like non-specific defenses. That guy's not going to just stand there and wait for you to move, right? So, I mean, kneeing somebody in the thigh, it's a low percentage move. I'd much rather you attack the head and target-rich environment, target-rich areas, rather than going to the leg, which is a low percentage move, or even the knee, which is a low percentage move. And you're running, this is like a cool martial arty thing where you're like, oh, I'm touching you with the knee. It looks like I'm walking past you. And then you're in this pain, which, yeah, if you Charlie horse someone in the thigh, anyone who's been Charlie horsed, you're kicked in that, sciatic, of course, that hurts. But again, adrenaline, drugs, low percent, you've got like, it's a low percentage area where you're, you really got to be on. I mean, a lot of those like leg kicks and calf kicks are designed to wear somebody out over the course of a fight, not necessarily to just drop them like we expect it to. Again, here we have, an example of martial arts like overestimating their effectiveness on their attacker.
He'll be running after you like this.
Not really, or not necessarily.
It's already like that, and that's not even full force. So I can't even imagine how.
Right. So the key is that you don't have to do it hard. You just have to penetrate through the target. You just got to go through with your, because in reality you will do it hard, right? But for training, Justin can walk to the next.
So again, a point in training, you've got to go hard and you've got to hit something 100%, because you don't want to be a game day fighter, a game day you don't want to show up for game day and ready to go. You have to. Yeah, as Mike points out, if you started in a fencing position or the blade, you avoid a lot of this shit. And again, now once we get past this stuff and look at what's happening now, he's just walking past him. He's not attacking him. You're not really doing anything to break their momentum and balance. If you are going to attack, remember, you got to attack on that axis. So, center line down and then cross by a perpendicular line. That's where you got to attack. I mean, this is like day one stuff in order to keep them off balance. This, if you get a shot in, again, this is a low percentage technique. They're treating it like these girls are going to do this against this guy when he's all geeked up on whatever. And you're thinking that this guy's going to stand still. You hit this guy in the face, he's going to stand up and face you. Okay, so your best bet is to continue to attack if you're going to do that. If not, just get the hell out of there. I mean, the one shot for a lot of situations may be enough for you to escape.
Video, right? We're going to do it softly, okay? But just remember to follow through. There's another scenario that Justin encountered.
One of our friends was out dancing, and he was doing good, and a whole bunch of the ladies came out, and they're dancing like, oh my gosh, yeah, this is fun. One of the guys got really angry. Dude comes over and pushes one of us out of the way and grabs his wife and walks out like this. But it was pretty intense there for the first few seconds, because stared at a couple of us down and was just like, whoa. So things can escalate really, really quickly. And that immediately made me think about this wrist grab.
This is going to be the attack.
Okay, so he's talking about, that wasn't a fight, bro. That was like a regular Thursday. He's talking about they're all having fun dancing, and a bunch of women came out, and then one of the women that came out and danced with them was married. Her husband came out and grabbed his wife and took her off the dance floor. So obviously they're in a fight. She's doing the break balls. It's a domestic dispute. It's not a wrist grab defense. And that's in the context in which you will see anybody grab an arm to move somebody. It's usually somebody you know, and it's usually in the middle of a domestic dispute. Doesn't make it right. I don't think anybody should put anybody's hands on each other in a violent manner. But it's not really an attack, and not be treated like an attack like these guys are talking about.
Justin's going to come behind you. He's going to grab your wrist. He's going to just pull you as if he's escorting you out, right? And in this case, it was a husband escorting his wife, obviously not in a kind way. So she has to decide what's appropriate. But if it's a stranger doing this to you, that's more the scenario that we're going to pretend that's happening right now. Okay. First of all, I want you to know what I'm expecting as the perpetrator, right? I'm expecting that I'm going to encounter a little bit of resistance, but because I'm bigger and stronger, I'm just going to overpower, and I'm just going to pull them along, and I'm expecting not compliance, right? So let me do it with you real quick. What would you naturally do if some stranger just started to grab you and pull you away, right? That's exactly what, right? You're going to like hold back a little bit. So that's normal, and you'll probably do that instinctively. I just come in here, right? And I'm going to come over here, and this is what's going to happen. Because she was strong, I had to grab with both hands. Right, so that's probably the scenario that's going to happen. Based on what we taught you earlier, what do you think you could do from there? Right? Let's just say.
Okay, this could get really good or really bad. All right, so I'm okay with, somebody grabbing you that you don't know, and obviously the girls are resisting, which is a realistic response to somebody doing something you don't want to do. But then from that, after that initial response, there should be some training that would come in. And yes, I mean, Mike's like, tell the truth, scream your head off. Yeah, I mean, you should be throwing every freaking obscenity at the highest volume at this piece of shit as fast as possible. 100%.
So I'm here.
All right. Come on, bullshit, dude. You know, again, here's this scenario where you're like, is that a boat ramp? What am I looking at? I don't know. So here's a scenario where you've got, you know, someone doing an initial attack, which again, you know, could be, you know, it's a lot better than I've seen. And then you've got, you know, the attacker waiting for the defender to do something. And then the defender just, doing anything, and the attacker oversells it and bullshit. That's not real.
Yeah, that was super effective.
It's super effective on no one.
I didn't even have to show you what to do. That was awesome. High five right there. Once I was down, what should you have done after that? Run? Yes.
Yes. Run. 1, run. 2. Yeah, exactly. No way, dude. So again, getting back to someone grabs you, you resist, then not, you freaking hit him in the face multiple times as much as you can. And guess what? They're going to take off one hand or two hands to stop from getting hit. And that's when you can escape or continue your attack. And if you attack and someone has both their hands on your wrist, what can't they do? They can't really defend themselves. The only thing that you have to do is just fix your momentum and fix your balance so you can effectively attack. But that magic ninja crap that little girl just did, yeah, no how, no way. All right, so now it would be
potentially, or maybe to give yourself a little insurance, stomp on my ankle before you run, just something to create a little bit more of an injury. I could have got up and ran after you, right? But if you stomped on my ankle before you left, because I'm down, it's easy to kick a man while he's down. In love and war, all things are fair, right? The next thing that
okay, fine, but if I kick you in the head and you're unconscious, you can't run either. So while an ankle stomp, okay, fine, but if I can kick your teeth in, I mean, I'm going to take that. Obviously, it depends where you wind up. Again, we're going off this bullshit that, hey, the guy could have tripped and fallen anyway. So, but either way, I mean, obviously, it's okay if you do something where you create a break. And then, yeah, exactly. Like, why not tear his eyes out? I mean, there's so many. As I said, I just punt his head into next week. So, whatever. I mean, if you can escape. That's what we do first. But if you're gonna move forward, dude, you gotta go for the gusto. I mean, yeah. And the only time I really do that ankle crap is if I was affecting an arrest on somebody, and and I wasn't, and there was no way I'd be kicking somebody in the head, but I did, but I wanted to take a little run out of them. That would be something, and you would do it in a way that wouldn't look like you're sitting there just stomping the hell out of them. So
what I want to do is look at this from, let's say, more of a martial art mindset, where you have somebody who's actually trained, whether it's a trained professional. In this scenario, we want to explore somebody who's got a firearm. He's going to grab my right arm to prevent me from getting to my firearm. And then if I just stand here like this,
yes,
I'm going to get clocked, right?
Correct.
When this happens, I've got to be moving. So I'm going to get off to the side. I'm going to create this shield with this hand right here. Then from here I can control the back of the neck. Then it's easy to come in here and get this, and then I can control them.
Okay.
Right. So
all right, let's just stop right there. Hold on. So first, stepping back, the attack is like a real kind of thing. So it's a real attack. So someone's grabbing your firearm, so trying to punch you in the face. It's not going to be one punch. All right. So even though you're covering and moving back and then coming with an attack, it's not really shifting the momentum. So you want to stop the momentum of his attack right away. That's why if somebody grabs a firearm and you come in with that edge of hand and you try to take their head clean off, it does the same thing as a cover. But what it adds to it, it's 1, you start attacking him. 2, you stop his momentum. And then 3, you can remove his balance. The rest of the shit afterwards, don't even bother. It's a waste of time. Never going to happen. All right. this, grabbing the offending appendage. If you start hitting a guy, he's going to react. That hand's going to come back. He's going to do something else to defend himself. So the rest of the shit after the twisty wrist bullshit, don't even bother. We don't even teach. It's a waste of time.
At this point, he's not going anywhere.
And by the way, this guy's not doing this well at all. You want to look at some of the old Tomiki videos and watch him get into it. At least it looks like he's like ready to chop someone's head off.
If I was law enforcement, I could then put him into compliance and handcuff.
Yeah, that's not a cuffing position. This is not anything that you would do. Ignore what he's saying. He does not know what he's talking about.
Or whatnot. But another thing that we like to consider, and have you guys be a bad guy. So I'm going to put him in a control situation.
They got the blockers.
Right?
Sorry.
Really quickly, I'll just say
it's an inside joke to myself.
Okay, I'm here. And I'm not going to be looking at you. You're his buddy. Right? And what are you going to do? Yeah. When you see an opening, you got to go for it. Right? That will keep me practice my situational awareness. But,
okay. Yeah, exactly, Mike. His real attack began when he started his approach, not when he actually grabbed it. And this is what we talk about training to wait and the problem with all of what's taught in self-defense. Now, this scenario is beyond stupid, and I don't know why anyone would ever practice it. First, if the threat is 1.5 times you, there's a very good chance you're going to lose. This is why in self-defense and what we do, we attack as fast as possible, get out of there as fast as possible, and then leave the scene as fast as possible because you don't know if he's got friends and if they're armed. Why on earth would you I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm riveted because right now it's like, why are you controlling this subject again in a bullshit manner? Because that would not happen. And what's your end game? The hope that the second attacker gets exhausted from hitting you? There is no benefit to any of this, and it's creating a really bad habit and from one, your ability to control somebody, and two, what's your expectation? Somebody's just going to hit you, and then hopefully their arms get tired. Okay.
Good. You're a good bad guy. So as he grabs my thing, the first thing I do is step off at a 45.
Again, that's not a real punch, okay, at all. And this is the beginning of the assault. So this stepping back, again, obviously, as Mike pointed out, letting somebody in your space is a problem. We don't want to do that. We want to be moving forward and into them before we even get to this point. But let's say they grab you, right? Again, where did this person come from? Did you have words? Did you step on his toes? Are you banging his girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever? So, why is this situation created? One. Okay, so this are things we must always consider. But let's say we're into this and we know that an attack is imminent and we do something stupid and let this guy walk in front of us, grab our wrist and go to punch us poorly with a shitty punch. Again, you will not step back because you're not going to just get one punch. It's going to be a barrage of punches.
5 degrees to the rear. I expose or I bring up my elbow here as a shield in case that comes through. Right, I've got this as a protection. The nice thing about this is it also measures distance.
I mean, right. So your elbow is your whatever. So again, this is why the edge of hand is such a beautiful thing. And you drive with that elbow first. And that's just because it's how it's done. Right. As Mike points out, his son's 7 foot, 330. I mean, I don't know what you're feeding your guys, Mike, but damn, sends him over here. And, he's 330 pounds. You're not going to do any of that risk shit on him at all whatsoever. Don't even bother. And again, this guy dropping back, still, bro, put your chin down. I can see your freaking face. And yeah, so this is awful.
From here, I can quickly attack. I can control. Then from here, I can do that wrist escape. From here, and I can put him down here. And then I can.
All right. Save your time. save your money, just hit them, right? I'm like, this is a single hand grab. Someone comes into your space, right? You've got like two options, either finger darting them or edge of handing them. Dude, even if you came in with a right cross and just kept hitting them, you'll be fine. You will be fine. You don't need any of the other stuff that goes behind it. Yet as Mike puts a great point again, Mikey, if you can shield, you can hit. So you should just hit and practice hitting. Don't practice stepping back. Don't practice waiting. Don't practice anything. This is why I'm like, just get something to hit and hit and hit and hit. And this is how you do it. Because when the time does come, you're going to just go. You're going to go. You're going to get triggered. You're going to go. End of story. Capiche? All right. So again, these guys, we oversimplify things, and you notice overall, they'll say one or two good things. And you'll be like, right, but that doesn't make everything right. It's like eating a shit sandwich, okay? You could have the best sandwich, your favorite sandwich in the world, but then put a layer of shit on the top slice of bread. What happens to that sandwich? Exactly. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Please like and subscribe. Again, if you want, if you know somebody who want to be a guest on us, just email us at customerservice@theselfdefensecode.com. We'll get you on. We'll do an interview, get you on the podcast. We'd like to again thank everybody for listening to the recording. If you didn't make the live session, there's some free stuff in the description. And check out the Bodyguard Bulletproof Backpack. Yay! And that's it. So, great to have you, Tom. Mike, as always, you're awesome. And again, whatever you're feeding everybody out there, send some to the Ross household. All right, everybody. Peace. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.